Moving on, we'll now look at starting your tax return. You can send your tax return anytime after the start of the next tax year. That's the 6th of April. We recommend you send it once you have all the information you need. This will help you avoid any penalties and help you budget for your tax bill. The deadline for sending an online tax return and paying anything you owe is the 31st of January after the end of the tax year. To sign into the HMRC online system, you'll need to use your government gateway, user ID and password. You'll also need your unique taxpayer reference, also known as a UTR. If you haven't used Government Gateway before, you can create sign-in details. There are also links to help if you're having problems signing in. In today's webinar, I'll be demonstrating the use of the HMRC online service. This first page explains who can use the service. Most people can. This tab gives guidance on who cannot use the service. If any of the situations here apply to you, you'll need to use alternative software. You can find a list of self-assessment commercial software suppliers on gov.uk. Like the HMRC online service, some commercial software allows you to get details held on our systems to help complete your tax return. For example, your PAYE details, taxable social security benefits, self-employed national insurance details, and marriage allowance information. This page on gov.uk has guidance about using software to help complete your tax return, if the feature is available in the software you've chosen. Please remember you'll still need to check the figures are correct. Further down the first page, there's a section that explains what has changed in the 2024 to 2025 online tax return. To continue, select Start Now at the bottom of the page. That brings us to the Tell Us About You section. The Tell Us About You page is for your personal details. Most of the information will be completed. However, you need to check the details and amend anything that's incorrect. There are some details which you must confirm, for example, your address. I'll just mention the Taxpayer Residency Status Indicator will be completed based on the information HMRC hold about you. Your residency status is determined by where you live for the majority of the tax year the return relates to, not just where you currently live. Your residency status identifies the rates of tax used to calculate your tax bill. If you change your residency status, we may have to recalculate your tax bill after you send it, as our systems will take a few days to update. However, we will send an updated calculation, known as an SA302, as soon as possible. Questions with optional at the side only need to be completed if they apply to you. At the bottom of the page, we ask you about blind person's allowance, student loan and postgraduate loan repayments. The wording of these three questions may be slightly different from that shown on screen if HMRC do not yet have the details. For example, this question may be, did you receive notification from the student loan company that repayment of an income contingent student loan began before the 6th of April 2025? If income contingent student loan repayments are due in the tax year, we'll also ask which plan type you're repaying. When the plan type isn't already showing, if you're not sure or you have more than one plan, sign into your student loan repayment account on gov.uk to find out which plan you're currently paying back. If you were employed during the year, you'll be able to tell us the amount your employer deducted for student loan or postgraduate loan repayments later in your tax return. Once all the details are correct on the Tell Us About You page, select Save and Continue. The next section is Tailor Your Return. This allows you to select the sections of the return you need to fill in. You need to answer all the questions on the 3 pages in this section. Please remember, you must tell us about all your income in the tax year, even if you've already paid tax on it. The tax year runs from the 6th of April to the following 5th of April. This first page asks about your main types of income. For example, employment, self-employment, and UK land or property income. When you answer yes to some questions, you may be asked for more information. For example, if you answer yes to being an employee, director, office holder, or agency worker, we'll ask how many employments you had and the name of each employer. I'll just mention that for tax purposes, the director of a limited company is classed as an employee for that company. They are not classed as self-employed. These two questions ask if your turnover or income from self-employment or UK property was above £1,000. There are times when you may need to answer yes, even when your turnover or income is £1,000 or below. For example, if you're self-employed and you want to pay voluntary Class 2 national insurance contributions, there's more guidance in the Help About links. This question about partnership income is for your own share of the income from the partnership, not the whole partnership. In a formal partnership, one nominated partner is responsible for filling in the tax return for the whole partnership. This will show the total income for the partnership, total expenses claimed, and the split of any profit or losses between the individual partners. The nominated partner must use commercial software to do this online. If you have any income from abroad, it's important to read the Help About guidance before answering this question about foreign income. There's lots of information about when you may need to answer yes and links to further guidance. There are also times where you have foreign income that you may be able to answer no to this question. For example, if you have foreign property income of no more than £1,000 and you're using the property income allowance, or if your only foreign income is untaxed foreign interest up to £2,000, or foreign dividends up to £500. These can only be shown elsewhere in the tax return, and I'll show you how shortly. Before answering this question about capital gains, again, you should read the guidance. It tells you when you need to report capital gains, how to work out the value of the assets you disposed of, and what to include or ignore. You need to make sure your tax return includes any gains or income that you received in relation to crypto assets. In particular, capital gains tax may be due if you sold or exchanged any crypto assets. This could be where you sold or exchanged your crypto assets for money, where you exchanged one type of crypto assets for another, where you used crypto assets to make purchases, or where you gifted it away. In addition, income tax and national insurance contributions may also be due where you received crypto assets from employment, or where you were involved in crypto asset related activities that generate an income, for example, lending or staking of crypto assets. Full guidance on crypto assets taxation can be found on gov.uk by searching Tax when you sell crypto assets. Page 2 of Tailor Your Return asks about other income you might have had during the year, for example, bank or building society interest, dividends, UK pensions, and state benefits. Most people can receive some bank or building society interest without paying tax on it. You should, however, still answer yes to this question, even if no tax is due on the interest. The system will automatically work out if any tax is to be paid. You should also answer yes if your only foreign income was untaxed foreign interest of up to £2,000. As I mentioned earlier, this is instead of filling in the foreign income page. You'll be able to show this income on the page for UK interest later in the return. Most people can also receive some dividend income without paying tax on it, and again, you should still answer yes to this question, even if no tax is due on the dividend. The system will automatically work out if any tax is due. You should also answer yes if your only foreign income was taxed foreign dividends of up to £500. As I mentioned earlier, this is instead of filling in the foreign income page. You'll be able to show this income on the dividends page later in the return. If you received any payments of state pension or other taxable state benefits, such as incapacity benefit or job seekers allowance, answer yes to this question. You should also answer yes if you received any occupational pensions, also known as work pensions, or any private pensions and annuities, even if you've already paid tax on these. You can find details of taxable and tax-free state benefits on gov.uk. This question about child benefit payments in 2024 to 2025 is about the High Income Child Benefit charge. If you answer yes, we then ask if your adjusted net income was over £60,000. The Help About link gives you a step-by-step guide for how to work out your adjusted net income. If you answer yes to this further question, you will need to provide more information about your child benefit payments later in the tax return. There are many types of other UK income that you may need to tell us about by answering yes to this question. However, don't answer yes and include in this section any income that should be shown in other sections of the tax return. You can find guidance about what types of income you may need to include here in the Help About link. This question about income tax losses can cause confusion. It's for losses on other taxable income, such as casual earnings or commission. It's not about losses that should be shown in another section of the tax return. For example, self-employment losses should be shown in the self-employment section, and UK property losses should be shown in the UK land and property section. You'll need to answer yes to this question if your total savings for a pension input period ending in a tax year are more than the annual allowance. The annual allowance for the tax year 2024 to 2025 is £60,000. You can find out more in the Help About link, which also has a link to Help Sheet 345, Pension Savings. The questions on page 3 of Tailor Your Return are mainly about claiming tax reliefs. This first question asks if you made payments into a personal pension or retirement annuity. Answer yes if you made any of these payments, or if you made payments to a registered work pension and no tax relief was given when the payment was made. Answer no if you made payments into a work pension or additional voluntary contributions which were taken from your wages before they were taxed. You will already have received full tax relief on these. If you're not sure the payments were taken before tax was deducted, check with your employer. If you pay tax at a rate above the basic rate of 20%, you may be due further tax relief on the payments into your personal pension or retirement annuity. If you only pay tax at the basic rate, so you're not due any further tax relief, you should still tell us about the payments later in your tax return. It can affect other things in your tax calculation, such as your adjusted net income. If you made a gift aid donation to charity or a community amateur sports club, or a gift of qualifying shares, securities, land or buildings to a charity, you should answer yes to this question. If you pay tax above the basic rate of 20%, you may be due further tax relief on these payments or gifts. However, you should still tell us about these, even if you don't pay tax above the basic rate, as it can affect other things in your tax calculation. For example, your adjusted net income. This question is asking if you want to claim married couples allowance. Most people will not be eligible to claim this. This is because either you or your spouse or civil partner must have been born before the 6th of April 1935. It isn't about marriage allowance, where you can transfer some of your personal allowance to your spouse or civil partner. If you're not eligible to claim married couples allowance, answer no, and we'll then ask about marriage allowance. So this is the question about marriage allowance. Answer no to this question if you are receiving the marriage allowance from your spouse or civil partner. If you've already applied online to transfer the marriage allowance, also select no, as it will be included in your calculation. An online transfer remains in place until you ask for it to be stopped. If you apply to transfer the marriage allowance in your tax return, you'll need to do this each year you want to make the transfer. If you're eligible and haven't made an online claim, answer yes to transfer 10% of your personal allowance to your spouse or civil partner. You can find out about eligibility in the Help About link or on gov.uk. This next question asks if you want to claim other tax reliefs and deductions. The Help About link gives lots of examples of other tax reliefs and deductions you may want to claim. This question is not about refunds you've received during the tax year that were for an earlier year, or tax refunds through an employer. It's about 2024 to 2025 tax you've paid with HMRC or Job Centre Plus has already refunded during the year. We then ask if you had a tax advisor. This could be an accountant, a friend, or relation. Please note that if you ask someone else to fill in your tax return for you, you are still responsible for the entries on the return. The next question asks if you have used one or more tax avoidance schemes. Please read the Help About guidance before answering. If you do not tell HMRC about the scheme, that must be disclosed. You could be charged a penalty. Final question asks if you are acting in capacity on behalf of someone else. You would only answer yes to this question in exceptional circumstances. Please read the Help About guidance to find out more about who should answer yes. The next page of the online tax return is Fill in your return, check your progress. This link gives you information about the documents you may need to fill in your return. This is based on the answers you gave in Tailor Your Return. If you don't have all the information you need, you can leave the return and the pages you've already filled in will be saved. It's a useful page you can come back to at any time using the link in the right-hand menu. It shows the sections of the tax return you said you need to fill in when you tailored your tax return. Entered means you have already given the information needed to complete that page. Not entered means you still need to fill in these pages. Links are provided to take you to each page, so you can enter the details, or if you realise you've made a mistake, you can easily go back and change your entries. If you've added a section in error and need to remove it, you must go to that section using the link. Then delete the section using the link at the bottom of the page. You cannot remove it from Tailor Your Return. At the bottom of the Check Your Return page, there's also a link to delete your entire tax return, should you decide that you want to start again. Selecting Next at the bottom of the page takes you to the next section you need to fill in. After tailoring your return, this is normally your main types of income. For example, employment, self-employment, or UK property income.